Hey Shreshta, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Salman. How are you?
Good, thank you. So I'm with my friend Shreshta here, Shreshta Bhandary. She's from Mangalore, and she's friends with my sister, and that's how we're connected. And she's awesome. I'll tell you that to start. Yeah. Now she works in VMware, one of the best companies in the world, I think. Difficult to define, but it is. So like she works in compliance. So how I know about compliance, the only thing I particularly know about compliance is from a movie called from a TV show called Billions. And in the third season, they Axelrod hired a compliance analyst or something to make sure that the information within the company is not leaked out. And she works in such a department within VMware. Now I want to discuss with her about this role of compliance. And in addition, Shrestha is also been a good student. Am I right?
Yes,
She's been a good student, and I want to talk to her about skills it takes to get into something like this. So tell me, Shrestha, how are you doing?
I'm good. And to give you more light on my compliance part, disclaimer, I've been working in this company for around 1.5 years. I had to intern there and then work. So I have like pretty decent knowledge, guys. So I'm going to share that with you guys.
Before that, what is
Yeah.
your background in engineering?
Yes, so I learned computer science engineering at NMMIT Nitty College, and yeah, basically before that I took science and same course.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the compliance, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
continue.
So on that regards, we basically do like you mentioned, information security, making sure the information that is critical to us and our clients always stays inside the company, and putting certain controls or sort of like rules, you can say. So we are doing the best effort possible, and yeah, it moves around that. We have new standards and laws that come into place, and we make sure that our company is always abiding by those laws. So yes, compliance is basically around this.
So is this universal to every company? Does every company have a compliance analyst? What is it? Isn't it an analyst? Is it an engineer? What is it?
So I think compliance base is based on the location as well. So for India, you might have certain standards and laws, or if your company is around different locations, like my company is, you might have it around. You have to comply to different standards and laws. So
Okay, so
yeah,
comply is the word,
yes,
right? Comply is
comply.
the word behind
Yes,
compliance.
yes,
So you are someone who has a very strong understanding
yes,
about complying to
yes.
some rules or policies
Yes.
within the company.
Correct. Right. Right. So what we do is, if we have a policy and it clearly states something, we make sure that our employees and our clients comply to that. So if in case you do not comply to that, you are not adhering to what you've stated. So what my job is to make sure that I am like this police officer trying to get them to do the right things at the right time, and we try to give them not warnings exactly, try to give them some notifications that, hey, maybe your passwords like not so secure, try securing it, something around that. So yeah.
So how is there a lot of compliance problems in the job, or is it reactionary, or is it like policies?
No, what we do is it's more like an preventive mechanism.
Preventive.
Yeah, preventive. It's not like you do this and then we tell you. We try to keep certain controls in place, try to see that before you make that mistake, we inform you about that. So it's more like around preventive
So
sort of.
is there a frequent requirement for a compliance analyst? Did you say
Yes, yes.
analyst to always look out that there's no
Yes,
leakage happening?
we
Problems happening?
have my colleagues. I don't specifically work on this, but I have my colleagues monitoring every day in and out if the certain operations that we have mentioned are running the way it has to, or what we've mentioned. For example, if somebody is getting terminated, we make sure that they do not have access to what VMware information they had before they got terminated. So this is done on a daily basis, and it's quite interesting. Yes.
Oh, tell me about the interesting part.
So the interesting part is you have different scenarios. Sometimes you might make a mistake of not taking his access or something like that, and that can cause such an people take it lightly that compliance is not something that's important. Every company has to has it, but just think of this: if you do not check out that somebody got terminated and he still has access to our information, he can leak that, he can sell it somewhere, and so this is like a huge risk for company. So yes, it's quite interesting because we are handling different kinds of risks around the company, and making sure that people are going on the right path.
That is so interesting because
Yeah.
I know about compliance issues right now. As you
Yes.
say this, I remember it because even at my previous company, I had this use case. I had this case where one of the people who exited, he created a huge problem. He deleted our
Great.
Google Drive file.
Oh my God,
Can you
that's
imagine? He had
huge.
access to his
Yeah.
he had access to his colleague's
Yes.
account, and he actually deleted it. And it's a real fucked up scenario, right?
yes.
And we are not even thinking about a compliance analyst. Who
Yeah.
is gonna hire a compliance analyst
Yeah.
when we are running on losses?
Yeah, exactly. And people don't know it. You can sue them for millions on this. So yeah, it's better to have this.
It's
in
really
place.
some fucked up
Yeah.
scenarios
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is clearly is an
Yeah.
important rule.
Yes.
But do you feel like, see, you are working at a huge company, right?
Yeah.
But do you feel like this role is also important to startups and smaller companies?
Yes, I think that information is important regardless of how huge or small the company is, right? You might be a startup, but you might still have major information that you'd never ever want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Every
yeah,
company have-
information
yeah.
regardless of a huge company or small company. According to me, even small companies, you know what the mistake, that strength I've been heard as going on happening, is that small startups don't know about this. They don't go around this, and then in the end they're like, oh shit, we had to comply to this particular law and we might get sued. And in the last minute they start panicking and all of that. So I would really recommend them to go through the compliance and understand what they're applicable to, and make sure they're compliant with these standards and laws, so they don't have to make a mistake and then repent it.
So where's the learning point in this? Because I feel like as you say this, like this is something important, and this is something you don't need a compliance analyst. This can be handled within HR or someone who's technologically savvy to handle this. Where's the learning? Where does someone learn about this?
I think they can learn online very easily, but if not, I know the recent trend has been for startups to actually go to consultants. Like, you have consulting compliance companies that will analyze your business and tell you, how you can improve or what is missing or something like that. So because I'm sure that small startups cannot hire like a bunch of compliance analysts, right? So they can go around sourcing this from somewhere else. So I think that is one of the good points they can do. So yeah, or if they actually have the time, they can look up online and see what it is all about, what their company is doing, and what laws they're applicable to. So I think, yeah, but I recommend them going to a third party and getting this done.
Shreshta is so smart, clearly. I want to ask you also, like, you sound like you're quite knowledgeable about this. How long?
A little bit, I'm not sure, guys.
Okay. How long have you been working on this?
So I think it's going to be 2 years this Jan. The first 6 months I was interning, and the next 1.5 years I've been working.
How old are you, if you don't mind?
Yes, I'm 23, guys. So I got hired in the 7th semester that I was in engineer. So
Awesome.
yeah. So my last few semesters were spent working in this company. So yes, I'm 23 and I've been working.
That's
I think-
awesome.
yeah.
Like, you're 23 and you've been working for 2 years. When I was 23, I was working for half a year.
Lucky you. I can say lucky you.
Okay, I did chill before that.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, compliance, the role as a compliance analyst, how sexy is that in terms of pay and all that, generally speaking?
I don't know about everything else, but my company's it's pretty good. I can say it's good for me, at least. At 23, I hear the pay scale that's been going on in our economy, and I think I'm at a good place. So yeah.
So do other companies also regard this role pretty well?
The sad part is I don't think other companies are taking compliance as seriously as my company does. It's only
Supposing like an Infosys or something. you
yes,
think?
I don't know about this. I'm not very knowledgeable, but I know that my company is taking compliance at a very serious level, because they don't want us to get sued later. So they're trying to take all the preventive actions in place now. So I think that's something everybody should look out for now, because you never know when your company may turn global, and then people might come saying, oh God, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So
right.
yeah.
No, compliance is not something like someone who in school
Yeah.
is like, I want to be a compliance
Yeah,
engineer and
I
analyst in the future.
I want to tell you, the day I got hired, guys, I had an interview and it was all great, and then they're like, oh, you're going to be a compliance analyst. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I have no freaking clue. And I went online and I'm like, okay, it sounds okay, but until the day I got hired, I had no idea what it was, and I think I'm so glad I got into this field because it's
Awesome.
yeah, it's more like management of stuff, and it's not like all coding. I'm a software engineering guys, but still I was always a little away from coding and stuff.
Do you have any software work at all right now? No.
Zero. Yeah, I
Awesome.
think yeah,
Better.
yeah. I might
Let,
have
let
had,
the software guys do the
yes,
software.
yes. I might have had like small project, but no, not
Okay.
at all. No, and I'm
Okay,
so
but
glad
continue,
about that.
continue about your hiring.
Yes. So until the day I got hired, I had no idea what compliance was, and then I mean, I had to look it up, right? So then I looked it up, and then they're like, okay, and then slowly and steadily, my team was so awesome. They taught me what it's about, and like I said, it's not something you'll get in like first second. Like the day I got started in VMware, I was like, okay, this is compliance. No, I understood it step by step during my internship. I'm like, oh, this is what it's done. This happens if you don't do it, and all of that. And everybody sort of, started giving me the knowledge, and I started.
Did you find it exciting, as you started out?
Yes, I'm sure if they had told me, oh, go write a Java program, I'd be like, okay, no. But they started telling me, you know what, you have to talk to these people, you have to get this done. And it was more appealing to my personality going and getting stuff done. So yeah, I loved it.
Tell me what your day is like at your job.
So basically, awesome part is I can work whenever I want to, and my company believes in me working at any time, anywhere, and getting my stuff done. So my day starts with thinking, okay, I have to get this done, that done, and I don't have like this. How do I say, operational activity like few of my colleague buddies do. I have like new project comes in, start working on it. So I send out an emails to whoever I have to talk to.
Okay.
I get their information, I respond, then I take a break, and basically then I start planning, okay, this has happened, what do I do tomorrow, and I plan my day out. So I can't give you in detail on what I do, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine.
so
That-
basically that.
That's cool. Now
Yeah.
tell me like about how you were hired, right? How were you
Yes.
recognized in a company like VMware?
Yeah.
Like it's a very good company. Like what got you there?
So there's this particular incident that I'd like to share with you. Okay, just I remembered it now. So I was in the interview room, and there was this other guy who had 14 pages of resume. Okay, 14 pages of resume. Let me like say that 14 pages of resume, guys. So and I'm like sitting there, and I'm thinking, okay, Shreshta, I think you should just go home, because he was amazing, and he was how do I say it, like good at books. I can say he had like all the knowledge of
He was your classmate or something?
a different batchmate, I can say. So I was like, oh my god, I am totally gone. My strength lies in guys like in talking, selling myself, and all that. And I was like, okay, let me just give this a good shot and see where it goes, because there were like rank students and students who knew every coding program, every project, like they were in it, And I had like this 2-page resume, and I was like going in with it. And at the end of the interview, I just realized that it all depends on how you sell yourself. Like it doesn't matter how much you've learned so far, because I can honestly tell you what I'm doing in my work right now has nothing to do what I've learned. I'm not disregarding what education I've gotten so far.
Please do disregard. Like I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so I'm not disregarding whatever I have learned so far, but it's not helping me in whatever I've done. So the day I got hired, I got to know from people that I was hired simply for the reasons that I was able to market myself well.
Okay.
I was able to present myself well, and I was able to say the right things at the right time and get to the right people. It was nothing to do with the knowledge I had. I mean, obviously it does. I mean, it matters, but more so it was more on how I marketed myself and how I got to them. How I got to them thinking, oh, this girl may be good at learning what we do, or she might be good at this particular job. So my job involves a lot of talking and selling themselves and getting people to do what you want them to do, right? So yes, that was the main reason.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
See, I think she did that very early on, but at any point in your career, you can do that. You always need to be prepared to sell yourself. And how can you do that is obviously CV and all is one thing, but CV, who looks at your CV, right? Social media is very big factor. You can actually create a portfolio on your social
Yes.
media
Yeah.
around these things and all that. Now, I want to understand from you again, like
Yeah.
specifically towards that, like while selling yourself, what was it? Was it your communication? Was it the way you presented yourself? What is it?
I think it was a mixture of everything. I wouldn't say it was a particular thing in detail, but I think it was number one, communication, number two, the way I compartmentalized like everything I had to say to him. And number three, I just made it a little more personal, not like personal stuff. I made it, appealing towards him. So every question he asked, I did not beat around the bush. I was just direct.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very direct, and yeah.
How were you able to be direct? Is that because of knowledge or is it because of your attitude?
I think it was the way I was brought up from childhood. Like, my parents told me if you have to ever say something, you have to say it. You cannot say yes, no, maybe. You just have to give an answer, right? So every time my manager posed a question, I did not like think of a fancy answer. I did not think of, oh, this is how I might impress him. I just told him what I would be actually doing, but in a much cleaner, nice fashion. So yeah, I think that's the way I got hired. And my manager was asking pretty tough questions, and he was like, imagine you're in this scenario, and you have to tell this person don't do this. And he was giving me good scenario based questions. It was nothing technical. It was like, what would you do under these circumstances? And I was just like actually imagining myself in the situation and answering the same way.
Awesome,
Yeah.
love it. So you were academically good, right?
Yeah, good, not great, guys. I had like people way above me, like
You think that's an advantage nowadays? What do you think?
I don't know. It can be, it cannot be. It depends on how you grasp knowledge, guys. Like some people may like score like 100% or 200%, but it depends at this. Like I say, you need to have that skill. And right now, I feel like marketing yourself is more important than what technical knowledge you, technical knowledge you have, because in the end, you are the product. You have to sell yourself to the company. The company doesn't trust the technical knowledge. It trusts you to perform and deliver what you have to, right? Yeah. So yes, I think you are the product. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, like finally, like I just
Yeah.
want to ask you, like you again, it's not about VMware in particular, but
Yeah.
generally, you work at a very good company.
Yeah.
What are the kind of people you work with? Are they very smart? Are you learning from them?
So I was quite astonished. I thought, I'll find people with like a lot of degrees and they might be aged, but I found a lot of youngsters in my company, and that was something that made me so very happy, because we have this system where it's not like a hierarchical system. It's like you have a question, you can go to the most top level person, ask them like, hey, this is my doubt, can you solve it?
Oh, really?
Yes. That's the awesome
awesome,
part.
man.
Yeah. We don't have like, we have this.
I'm gonna join.
Yeah, you should. So you have like this no door policy. You can go ask a person anything you want at any time, and they are more than happy. And like I said, the moment I joined, I had no knowledge, but these kind of people who were with me, they helped me so very much, because they were also like just starting out learning, but the passion they had for this field or for this company, I think I met one of the best people here in the company. Yeah.
Because of the passion for the company, like
Yeah, I think because of the passion for the company and the way the company treats you, right? That's also an amazing part.
so the company treats you very well.
Very well, very well.
Example.
Example.
They send you abroad and all, right?
Yes, they let us do what we want. Okay, not about abroad, but that's fancy. But
We'll
okay,
get to that as
yeah.
well.
Imagine there's this particular course that I'm interested in online, right? Which company would they actually tell you, please go ahead. They give you a budget of around certain amount, and it's a lot. They go learn what you have to. No problem if it's taking you off your work. We want you to go learn the knowledge that's training right now. And I think that kind of motivation and that kind of freedom brings out the best in employees, because you might think, oh shit, they're missing their work days, man. Like they're not working at that time.
Yeah.
They're learning, but that knowledge in the end is beneficial to the company. So I strongly recommend all the companies to start motivating their employees to learn these training courses, so their employees come back fully prepared and more energetic and more passionate towards what they do. Yeah.
That is just fantastic, because every company can do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so now she's obviously talking about bigger scopes, bigger budgets, probably.
Yeah.
But every company can do that, because if your staff is interested in pursuing a particular skill,
Yeah.
buy a Udemy course for $10. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all it costs, and that is gonna make them as
Yeah.
happy as Shreshta is at
Yeah.
VMware.
So it's not always stagnant. You have this phases where people are like, oh God, I want to go back to the same job. I don't want to do that.
It's a great tip for startups.
Yeah. But when you start learning more stuff, you're like, oh damn, there's so much to explore, man. There's like so much you can learn. And I've gone through like 4-5 trainings so far, and they have been so damn interesting. It makes me want to work and love my job more and more. So yeah.
That is so lovely.
Yeah.
And right now, like, I just want to understand from more and more companies, are they taking these steps to actually make sure that their employees are having such an affinity towards their
Yeah.
company? Because I think they should.
Yeah, they definitely should, because it brings up your interest. It makes you more motivated. You're not like, oh god, this is boring, like I said already. It's very interesting, and it's a top, it's like a feather to your hat, because you're learning more, and that knowledge is ultimately going to be applied back in the same job I'm working, right? So whatever I learn from the courses, I come back to my job, I'm like, oh, this is the way I can do it. Oh, this is the way I can improve myself. So yeah, that's been amazing, and I think that these courses are something that's built my career and my career in my company and my job so much better. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, final question, just
Yeah.
because everybody in like who's entering the workforce is interested in a prospect to travel abroad,
Yeah.
and you have done that,
Yes,
right? Can you
yes.
tell me about your travel experiences through
Yes.
your professional life?
Yes, so we have this particular projects where we have to meet with the stakeholders directly, or we have to go audit the locations. I believe you know the term audit, right?
Yeah.
So I've gotten to travel to.
I know audit.
Sometimes I talk too deep in my language, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, for my first travel was to Singapore to learn on this particular governance, that is my field. Platform called Archer. I don't know if you heard it.
No.
RSA. Have you heard of a company called RSA?
No, I don't.
Okay. It was like a project called RSA Archer. And the second time I traveled was for this audit that's happening. I had to go to Delhi and see how the controls are being applied there, and see
Okay.
if they are compliant, and actually physically inspect all the places, like if they're fire.
So is it a case study, or is it like a training or something?
Not case, it's a case study. Like you go there and you check if they have proper measures for your fire hydrant system, if they have proper measures for visitor entry. Like you should check if a random person can come or not, if they're using their IDs. We have to physically, some part of it is physical, so we have to go check the physical parts of that location. So that was my second travel.
It was an interesting learning.
Yes, it was an interesting. It was my first time traveling to a location and auditing it, because the findings we got were like so minor, like these data server rooms with AC. What is the temperature log if people coming inside have registered their name? Very detailed, but yeah, it was. We found a lot of things there, and that we wouldn't find back home. So we had to go there, see it for ourselves if they're doing well, and then come back. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shreshta. Just
Yeah.
finally, like, if
Yeah.
do you have any advice to yourself, like from 2 years ago, as to like you already mentioned that your
Yeah.
education is not as useful, like
Yeah.
is anything, right?
Yeah.
Any tip you have for yourself, like from a few years ago?
Yeah, what I would say is just learn more every day. Like it might maybe as simple as watching something online, learning something on YouTube, listening to a podcast. You have to keep investing in yourself. You have to make yourself more and more marketable with the online courses. Maybe learn something or do something that brings your resume or your personality a little up, so people can trust you and buy you on that.
Fantastic, love it.
Yeah.
Because you said like listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
I also have to ask, like, you've seen my content, right?
Yes,
what
yes.
did you think, like?
I really liked it because it was a little different way of, it got more to me, because it was like a normal person talking to another person, and it was very interesting because you asked them real questions. It was not like, rehearsed like we're having. It was on spot. So I totally loved it, and I follow each and every podcast so far. Hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a lot coming.
Thank you.
And Shreshta is awesome. You want them to follow you on your Instagram?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Shreshta Bhandary. I keep posting nonsense and awesome content.
Thank you, Shreshta.
Thank you,
Have a
thank
great
you.
one, and all the best to you.
Yes, thank you
And
so much.
I'm gonna send across my CV as well.
Let me
Kidding.
know.
All right. See ya.